Okay, well, next up, I wanted to continue this thing where I'm talking about movies I see. And I saw this movie you might have heard of called The Backrooms, actually just called Backrooms. And wow, this was a doozy. Oh my lord. So, if you like movies that are like kind of scary but also like really creepy and weird, but also kind of like very very psychological and have a real sort of like message about psychology and how we relate to our dark sides and stuff. This is a great film. And as a therapist myself, I did not go into this film realizing that there would be such a significant therapy thing going on. Like I didn't realize that a therapist was in the film. Like his therapist is like the second main character. The protagonist therapist. What's the protagonist's name? Clark? I should probably know that. Clark Backrooms. Oh my god, I typed it so badly Google didn't even realize what I was saying. Yeah. Clark, very cool. So Clark's therapist is a huge role in the film. And so I was like, shout out, like let's go, therapist, for the win. Um, and yeah, it was really interesting. At first, I thought the therapist was going to be kind of like already aware of the back rooms because in that, oh, spoiler alert. Obviously, don't watch this if you don't want spoilers for the back rooms. But yeah, in that opening scene where you see someone in the back rooms and then you see it's a video being watched of them by people who clearly like know about the back rooms, I thought they looked like psychologists, so I thought maybe the therapist was one of them, but no, she wasn't one of them. She eventually meets them at the end and so on. But yeah, basically, fascinating look. It's like the back rooms are symbolic, but also real. There's kind of a question there about like how, like where does the line of reality stop for the back rooms? They clearly actually exist where other people can see them, and other people can see the things in the back rooms that also seem to be generated by like Clark's memories. Or that's the thing, like I wasn't like when for example like Clark brings his employees into the back rooms like very rudely and dangerously. He like seemingly does not tell them about the stomping monster that he heard in the back rooms, just brings them in and takes them in like deep into the back rooms, but without even telling them, oh yeah, by the way, there was like a stomping monster that I ran away from. We never see him tell them that. So that's what I was wondering. Like, does Clark not tell them that? And does Clark put them in a dangerous situation because he's been changed by going into the back rooms already, or because he is just that type of guy that is extremely reckless and careless with other people's well-being? Regardless, what I was going to say is, so he brings the employees in. One of the first things you see is the one of his employees sees the shirt that says "End Apartheid" that the other employee was wearing just the day before. So that's very interesting. And I did notice the shirt when she was wearing it. It was her that was wearing it, right? So she's wearing his employee who plays Alice on Shrinking, by the way, which I did a video about on the main channel. I was like, oh my God, I've never seen her in anything else. She's wearing the shirt that says "End Apartheid," and it's really, it was really a good touch because at first I'm like, that's random. Like I'm just thinking, like, why is she wearing like? That's just interesting. You don't often see people wearing like political slogans in a movie or a TV show that for no reason. And so here it indicates like her politics. She's left wing. She doesn't like apartheid. So she's kind of woke. You know what I mean? One of those people who like doesn't like apartheid. But what it also does is, and even more so than because her politics don't matter really in the film, but like what it does is it jumps out at you, and so that's a great thing that the filmmakers did, or the filmmaker, I forget the person's name. I know they're from YouTube though, so shout out YouTube. But like they draw your attention to it because a lot of viewers are going to notice it and be like, oh, and apartheid, okay, she's against apartheid, so that makes it so, then you notice it when he looks at, or, the other employee who she's dating and so on or whatever, looks at the shirt. when Clark brings them into the back room. So, but that shirt, we're seeing that because Clark remembers that, or we're seeing that because, you know what I mean? Like, is it Clark that remembers that, or is it like that shirt exists both to Clark and the other employees when they're in the back rooms, right? That copy of the shirt. So is it the back rooms remembering things that are going on in the world, or is it the back rooms as seen through Clark or as seen through the employee remembering that this shirt was just worn? Like, and it's okay. Like, these are just questions that are interesting to me to ponder a little bit. It's not like it matters, and it's not like everything has to make perfect sense. It's like it's out there. Very well shot. I really enjoyed the cinematography of the film. I thought it was really well done. I thought they had a really nice eye. That sort of question about what's commonly and objectively seen versus what's not comes into play with the music as well. There's a lot of definitely it got to be intentional, because from the time he starts going into the back rooms, it becomes questionable. Like, am I hearing what he's hearing, or am I hearing the soundtrack? Sometimes it's obvious that you're hearing the soundtrack. Other times you're like, that's obviously what he's hearing. But that blends together in a way that has got to be intentional and makes it, it's a very interesting effect, because then okay, like, the realities are blending together. Like, what I'm hearing could be what he's hearing, or it could be not, and it's almost like hard to tell sometimes. The deeper parts of the film. So the therapist we see in the beginning is helping him work through his divorce from his wife, and his how his issues with anger and alcohol and stubbornness and lack of accountability, and how his immaturity and unwillingness to grow influenced his breakup of his marriage, how his dissatisfaction with not being a successful architect is sublimated into his excessive drinking and excessive working at his furniture store, and lack of connection to people around him. And he's alone, but he insists from the beginning he's not lonely. It's interesting because we just talked about I Love Boosters, and though it was a completely different film, it was also about loneliness in a similar way. It's interesting that these films are tackling loneliness in such different ways. Obviously, very different films, very different moods. I Love Boosters, spoiler alert, not really, but sort of, ends with the loneliness being resolved, and the character realizes, I gotta kind of just work together with other people, overcome my loneliness. The Back Rooms does not end in such a way. It ends in Clark embracing his loneliness, to put it positively, basically succumbing to his loneliness and succumbing to the pull of, maybe I'll just be alone. Maybe I'll just live in the back rooms. Maybe I'll just, because I get full control here, sort of. One other thing I wanted to talk about, so he's in the back rooms, right? And there's this climax where his therapist is in the back rooms looking for him. And she finds him, and he captures her. And sort of you see this amazing scene where he has this little dinner. He's playing He's playing tea time with dolls, but it's these real sort of creatures that are from his memory, as well as. But she's seeing them too, but they're from his memory, and he's making her role play with him. The same role play they did in the therapy session about his night of his wife leaving him, but he tells her, tell me I didn't do anything wrong. And it's amazing acting, and he kills it. But he's like, tell me I didn't do anything wrong that night. And the therapist is literally her life is on the line. She's literally thinking, I could be killed right now. And so I was thinking okay, if I'm the therapist, I'm going to try to just do what he's telling me. There's a chance that if I do what he's telling me, he'll let me go. So maybe I'll just do what he's telling me. I'll just tell him he did nothing wrong. But she doesn't even do that. She's such a hardcore therapist, and she's I guess just so kind of at her breaking point, that she's like, I'm not even gonna fucking do that. Like, I'm literally just gonna do the exact same therapy that we did in our appointment. I'm gonna tell you that you like. She pushes him. She pushes him, and she refuses to just tell him what he wants, even though her life is on the line, and there's like a chance. There's obviously a good chance that she tells him what he wants to hear, and he's not satisfied. So maybe she's just thinking that, but like, there is a chance that he lets her go if she tells him what he wants, and she still doesn't. In fact, but then it's amazing where she goes even further and really breaks and says, like, just like, she just like really, she's experiencing a little bit of burnout. We also, yeah. So she tells him like, actually, like, this is just how you are. Like, you're just, like, you're never gonna change. Just fine, just like be how you are. Like, you're never going to change, and I can't change you. And so it's this real breaking point where she gets him to let her go by just kind of being completely real with him, and by giving him also permission to just live in the back rooms, and by basically saying like, fine, just do what you want, like whatever, like I'll let you go, like you can just be insane in this world that you're creating for yourself. And but then as he's about to let her go, the monster shows up, who I guess, like, I'm a little confused because, like, the monster is him dressed up as the pirate at the beginning, right? Like, that's him dressed up as the pirate. But, like, is it, like, well, and, like, I guess that's what it was the whole time. The monster was him dressed up as a pirate. But that's what she sees also. It's not like it's only him seeing it. So why is the Backrooms all based around him? Now, is the Backrooms also controlled by the psychologists and stuff? Because we see that monster guy being nursed back to health at the end. Like, the psychologists are, like, giving it an MRI or something, right? Like, what's going on with that? And, like, but so... And we also know the psychologist was at home watching a TV and saw the commercial of Clark as the pirate. So did the pirate thing get added to the back rooms from Clark dressing up as a pirate, or from the psychologist seeing the pirate on the TV and saying, oh, now we got to add that to the back rooms or something? Or just it added magically from the psychologist, like, perceiving it? Or is it, as I said, from Clark dressing up? Like, I don't know, but it's added to the back. It's there in the back rooms. Presumably was not there before Clark dressed up as a pirate, obviously. Somehow that got the ball rolling there. So when the pirate then shows up to that dinner party scene, and Clark's about to let the therapist go, Clark looks at the monster, the pirate monster, and goes, what are you doing here? Like, basically, like, I guess to him, like, that's a really interesting line to me. Like, that to me was one of the standout lines of the film. Like, what are you doing here, to the pirate monster that, as far as we've seen, is always going everywhere in the back rooms. So why would he now be surprised that the pirate monster was at his dinner party when it had been waltzing around the entire back rooms most of the time we've been seeing the back rooms? You don't go long without that monster showing up and sniffing you out. So that makes me wonder, does Clark think that he had come to some sort of agreement with that entity, with his dark side? Was he like, we'll take up separate spaces in the back rooms? Why was he surprised that that entity was there when that entity seemingly was always, like, insatiably trying to eat anything that was in the back room? So, but for some reason he's still surprised, and then it leads to a great sequence where the therapist has to outrun that pirate entity, and then Clark is just kind of like gone. And then, of course, the film ends, spoiler alert, with the therapist, being, like, barely making it away from the pirate guy, being interviewed by the psychologist people, and then where it ends on a shot of her in the back rooms. And now, so I don't know if it's clear, but I wasn't clear on, did she actually talk to the psychologist? Like, did that actually happen, or was all this playing in her mind? But you can also assume like it is possible she actually just talked to the psychologist or whatever. I'm calling them a psychologist. I don't even know if that's what they are, but it's whatever researchers. And then did they like wipe her brain or something, or did they just put her back in the back rooms? They might have just put her back in the back rooms, but now is it because they don't want anyone to know about the back rooms? Probably. They're also studying people in the back rooms, I guess. They're studying the back rooms. They want to know how the back rooms work, but they're too afraid to kind of figure it out. And it's sad. It's a sad ending. It was very interesting that it was sad, but in a silly way, in a way, because like it ends on this shot of her alone in the back rooms, but she's also then it cuts to her face, and she's all like freakish from the effects of the back room. So it was a really kind of gratuitous in a good way shot to give it the silly vibe that the film has while being a little scary. Because it ends on her alone, and you're like, oh, damn, that sucks. But then it's her face, and you're like, whoa, she's so fucked up. You know what I mean? Now, the one unrealistic thing in the film was that the therapist has, problems of her own. Like, she had, like, issues in her childhood. She, like, takes drugs in secret. Like, she has bad dreams. She has mental health problems. And that's unrealistic, because therapists obviously never have any mental health problems or problems of our own. We're always like perfectly well adjusted and very normal people. So that was the one kind of unrealistic thing about the film. It's like, okay, a therapist who has their own kind of issues, that's hard to believe. You know what I mean? But okay, so that was great. Yeah, so I would say see the back rooms. It's a great film, very interesting. Very worth watching. And yeah, hope you enjoyed my analysis of it. This is a podcast